No, no. Oh, it's popping up now. All right. Valor Morgulis, everybody. Hypes Watch is back again, and hopefully everything is working right with YouTube this time around. Because yeah, we kind of started an hour later. Thank you, YouTube gods. Anyway, yeah. Bionic Six. We are here to discuss the final episode of the final season of Game of Thrones. And tonight we have all the way from España, Tinker Jasso, normally from France, but I believe somewhere out in the Midwest this time around. We have Sweet YFT. Also from the Midwest, we have Big Game James Michelle. From the Dirty, Dirty South, we have Jerry, Texas Rattle Dragon. And all the way out west, we have the ladies' man himself, Sir L.T. Giles of the Blackwater, ruler of High Garden and all things pimp. And yeah, you already know where I'm at. I'm all the way out here on the east. I am Don Woolley, and yeah, this is a bittersweet moment for us. More bitter for some, more sweet for others. So before we get into the details, let's go around the horn, find out how everyone is feeling about the episode. Starting with Tinker, since you haven't been here in a very long time, and I know you probably got to go soon.
Yeah, it's like 3 a.m. back home, so I'm not not gonna be here for that long. But I did not like this ending. I hated this ending. I was one of those people that when it started diverging from the books, I'm like, I'm just gonna enjoy it for what it is. Forget about the books. Think of it as a different story. But this season is just this is not a different story. This is just not having any logic, not making any sense, not just being rushed and jumping and just like what the hell is going on? And I'm done. I'm done. It's lost me completely. I'm over it.
Okay, wow. Sorry to hear that. Anne, how about you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question because
Just general thoughts
my
on the episode.
Michigan is not in the Midwest.
In the Midwest for us. But yeah, all right. So, general thoughts on the episode.
I don't. I.
Oh wow.
I'm gonna take a nap.
Oh wow. Okay. quite unexpected. Rattle Dragon. How are you feeling about the episode overall?
These Dan and Dave, I tell you, every single time, no respect at all for Song of Ice and Fire fans, none at all. They just do what they want. Wasn't the worst, whatever. For what it was, there were some interesting things to. It gives us interesting things to debate about the book. So I'll leave it at that. But I mean, no respect for the fans, but we haven't been respected all season, so it's not really a surprise at this point.
Okay. James.
I mean, it was pretty much par for the course. Rushed, leaps in logic. So what's new? But it gets a 10 out of 10 for me because last episode ever. I got to watch the show ever again.
Yeah, that's the one good thing. We're done with this shit.
I'm just gonna say ouch. But all right, LT, your thoughts on the general thoughts on the final episode of Game of Thrones.
All hail King Bran Stark, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms and Protector of the Realm.
Don't stop triggering me right away.
I think that personally, I've been a little hard on this show, but you know what? That's given. This show just broke my heart, and took it all away from me. The most invested show. I before this it was Lost, but it did the same thing, and it's just frustrating. But at least we got each other. At least we got the books. Let's just dive into it.
Alrighty. Yeah, and with that said, let's just dive into it. So the episode basically picks up where we left off. Tyrion and company surveying the devastation that was King's Landing, left in the wake of Daenerys Targaryen's tirade. Tyrion says he wants to go in and take a look at things. Jon tells him, hey, it's not safe. And Tyrion is just like, yeah, well, what the fuck else can we do at this point? So he actually goes to look for his brother and sister to see if they have escaped. And he discovers the bodies of his brother and sister, the twins, Lannister, Jaime and Cersei. And we get a very emotional breakdown from Tyrion. Probably one of Peter Dinklage's best performances with regards to doing such emoting. How are we feeling about this opening? When it comes to Tyrion and him now realizing that he forevermore will be the last, unless he has any kids, he will be the last Lannister. And you know what? And we're going to start with you.
Yeah. There's really no reason for him not to potentially have kids. But, okay, so big disclaimer. For one very particular and very personal reason, that's very personal to me, I'm super butthurt about that episode. That's going to kind of color a lot of things. I realize I'm not going to be objective because of that. That's personal. That's to me. I'm butthurt. Aside from that, yeah, I think it was, honestly, Peter Dinklage, carried most of that episode on his motherfucking shoulder. That was a great choice from the part of the writer. And that is hey, again, Peter Dinklage Emmy Award season. That scene was absolutely unnecessary. He knows he's gonna get his head cut off. That's the last thing he should be doing right now. Narratively speaking, that Tyrion should be doing right now. Yet it's beautifully shot. The opening scene, even before that, was amazing. The cinematography in that opening scene was absolutely stunning, and that was very emotional. And all of the scenes that Tyrion was in the first half to 2/3 of the episode were all amazing. Again, he really shone throughout the episode. So I don't want to. I'm covering all of that for his actress talents. I'm not going to repeat myself later. That makes useless, except to show wow, what amazing actor he is.
Okay, cool. Tinker, since we have not gotten to hear you on this channel in a very long time, your thoughts on the opening of this episode?
Since when does Tyrion also care about Cersei? Is my question. Jaime, okay, but he's been so insistent this entire season on Cersei finding ways for her to freaking live, and I'm since when does he care? So they're supposed what the hell happened to Tyrion? I don't really like what they've done with him this season. While Peter Dinklage is an amazing actor, which is I think the only reason why they've been able to do what they've done to Tyrion, because if it hadn't been an actor at his level, it wouldn't just hold. Because even the speech at the end, the whole brand is that's just
okay. I need to stay calm for at least a little bit of that review. So let's wait until we talk about Brad.
Okay, Peter Dinklage is the only thing that made it believable, the whole thing for me. It's just at this point, Tyrion is one of the characters that I think they've butchered, and it's
No.
just the only thing that I do have to say is that it was absolutely beautiful shot. I feel actually very sorry for all the other people who's worked in this show except the writing, because in each episode it's gotten such like just the images, just the photography, the lighting, the everything is so on point, and then you're like, God, this is so wasted. He did such an extraordinary job for this fucking writing. It's kind of like a joke.
I mean, the photography in that episode, I mean, it's always been really good, but that's really like, it was really amazing in that episode. Like, I agree.
All right. Wow. LT.
I agree. The first opening scene, it was visually stunning, and seeing Tyrion walk. One thing that doesn't make sense to me is all the rubble fell on Jaime and Cersei, and that area should have been all stones. It should have been way more. It was like only a few on there, and I know Tyrion grabbed a few. They did look really beautiful, actually, sitting there like together, and yeah, Peter Dinklage act really great, with his drama scene there. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, James.
I don't have too much more to add. I mean, yes, that's one thing I've always been praised. One thing I've always praised the show for has been the other things not involved in the writing. That's always been top notch. So that's the reason why I can never completely shit on the show. But in terms of the beginning scene, yeah, Tyrion did a great job emoting. I mean, Tyrion is one of my favorite characters, even though they have obviously have definitely decleverized the character, but still one of my favorites. So glad to see he got out of here this episode, off the hook, even though leaps in logic in that, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I was actually thinking, like, I don't mean I'm not a physics major or whatever, but I did feel like for them to be dead, they should have been buried further. It looked like there was only like one layer of rocks on them. I felt like maybe that wouldn't kill them necessarily, but like I said, I'm not no physics major, so I'm not completely sure on that, but it's whatever. Throw logic out the window at this point. It's the last episode.
It would probably kill them because they're heavy rocks and it's coming like 40 feet of gravity buildup. It'd be like getting hit on the head would be worse than what happened to Joe Pesci in Casino. But,
yeah, so their bodies would have to be messed up. They didn't look too messed up at all.
Like their head should have been caved in. So.
Yeah, well, you could think, okay, again, not a specialist of, please chat stop me, but we only saw their upper body, right? So if the legs were stuck, maybe the legs were crushed, so they couldn't really escape the rubbles. And so we don't know, maybe they died a slow death. Possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
I just think Dan and Dave wanted to show them off one more time because they had to show Lena Headey one more time. They just had to because it's Lena Headey, and they have to show her one more time. It doesn't matter that we already knew what happened. We saw it happen last episode.
And I
wanted to see them together, embrace. Like,
we saw them together last episode.
She made $1.5 million per episode this season to just stand at the edge of the precipice, drink wine, and then lay in the rubble.
I wonder what Peter Dinklage is making, because in season 2, I believe he was the highest paid actor. So I wonder if he's getting paid more.
I don't know, but I need to get that agent, lying some rubble for $500K. Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much it was. I mean, first thing is what the hell happened to Arya's horse? I mean, you had that big white magnificent horse, and then that thing just comes out and just disappears. It did have a good, seeing the city, seeing all the destruction. You could have cut to that. You could have cut seeing that to the chariot. You didn't need to do the whole Jaime. I thought that was redundant from what we saw last episode. I thought it was just a waste of time in a series that we don't have. We're running out. We didn't have enough time to begin with, so like why waste on redundant scenes?
Oh,
they didn't know what to do for this episode.
They didn't know what to do like in life. So
Now that has been. I mean, we do know that pacing has been a recurrent problem since season. I mean, like even season 1 when it was amazing, we still could have been nitpicky. If we really want to be nitpicky, we could have been nitpicky on pacing.
and
So,
then we got the mad Grey Worm just slicing throats on the way there.
yeah.
See, that was good.
I was actually about to get to that, because that is like clean up.
No, that was the scene before actually. So
I mean, well, yeah, but I wanted to tie all the Tyrion stuff up,
okay.
so we can move on to Jon.
Or we can talk about then how Tyrion turned face and just like done.
All right, we'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, after this, we get a scene of Jon and Davos kind of surveying the damage as well. They come across Grey Worm, who is sentencing some Lannister prisoners to die. Jon confronts Grey Worm and he's like, "Yo, dude, come on, man. They already surrendered. The war is over." And, apparently Grey Worm lays some news on Jon that he was not aware of. And that is, if they breathe and they fought, they die. Which kind of shows not only how ruthless and bloodthirsty Daenerys is, but also that the fact that she has trickled these orders down to the head of her army. Head of her army has decided to trickle those orders down to everyone else. And Davos is, when Jon goes to stop Grey Worm from executing these prisoners, it almost turns into a melee. And Davos is like, Jon, dude, kind of outnumbered here. Easy. We'll go try to talk to Daenerys and get all this sorted out. And, they leave. And then after this would have been the scene with Tyrion. But, next up we get Jon Snow, who is approaching where Daenerys is about to have her victory party. We
Somehow
see
Grey
Arya.
Worm got there first, so I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened. Littlefinger's transporter, man, and Littlefinger's travel services are still full effect. Arya, who no longer has the horse for whatever reason, is walking through. She sees some of the Unsullied soldiers. She sees Jon walking through this massive horde of Dothraki. Where the hell they came from, I have no idea. Unsullied.
Where the hell they went?
It's like babies, kids. They don't die; they multiply.
It's kind of like in a video game when you go upper levels and then your army just gets bigger or your characters get more powerful. It's kind of like that.
Yeah,
it's like Dark Souls.
Somehow they have magical respawn powers. I'm gonna tell you like this. I thought that that Arya, when she killed the Night King, was death of magic in the show. I was wrong, because apparently, Daenerys is like, every time she gets a victory, she's able to respawn new troops.
Or defeat.
So
I just want to say one thing first, though, that this whole Grey Worm Jon scene, it reminds me of like the debates that me and Tinker have had of what should happen with the Freys. I say that there's, I try and give some of the good ones that give them a pass, and she's like, no, kill them all. If they're Frey and they breathe, they kill them.
This is kind of true, I'm wondering. We
Got the Mad Tink.
Yeah,
the Freys all participated in the Red Wedding, or they
Not
didn't
all of
say
them.
anything. So that makes them guilty by association.
We shouldn't be trudging up this old.
They didn't put their swords down.
Yeah.
They didn't give up. They went through it, and they.
We'll have this debate later.
All right.
What happened to James?
Wait, did we lose James? No.
Yeah.
All right, he'll be back. Anyway, yeah. So then we get Jon, who is approaching his Mad Queen, and I'll be honest with you, even though most of it made no sense with the amount of troops that Daenerys had, very awesome shot. When Jon is climbing the steps, Drogon flies over, drops Daenerys off, and then we get the
Yeah.
nice little unfurling of the dragon Daenerys with the wings in the back, and Drogon taking off.
Can we just say, can we just be in all agreement that all the shots are good, that we don't need to...
Now, you know what the crazy thing about it?
No,
Mhm.
I want to talk about the
because-
shots though.
Okay.
Well, but the crazy thing about it, Dan and Dave actually directed this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure. Do I give them credit? Like, did they?
No,
receive-
Director
you
of photography.
Yeah,
Well,
the
no,
director of
here's my
photography, camera assist, all the camera crew.
right. I get that part, but I'm asking. Do you think they actually wrote like, "Hey, we want this thing. You guys shoot it, make it look as good as you can, but we want Daenerys to be walking."
You know what? They probably
forward.
did. So yeah.
Mm-mm.
So
They're
look,
good with spectacle. We can give them that. There's been some moments of spectacle, like spectacular, that you're like, wow, this looks really cool. The problem is that that's what it sort of ended up being. That it was just like, ooh, what will look cool? Ooh, what will surprise? Ooh, what the shock? And the sort of story went to hell. But they are very capable of spectacle and,
Or telling
Show
someone to do
things.
spectacle, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't think they can. They can't do anything on their own.
well,
Yeah,
I mean,
It's always a crew effort.
Mm-hmm.
well, this was like I said, it was a good looking shot, and then we get Daenerys's plan though, and we find out that she, we thought she was Mad Queen before, with last episode, but this time we find out just how far her madness is actually spread, and it might actually be it. She might be according to the show canon, she might actually be the maddest Targaryen ever.
Okay, can I just really, really, really quickly talk about
Go for it.
a little bit, because it's a little bit of cinematography and a little bit of plan, but I won't really extend because I'm really not a specialist, and some people are a lot more versed than me. I will let them have the public speech on that. But as anyone else in that chat felt like there was a really, really heavy-handed, like, Nazi imagery thing thrown in there.
Definitely.
That was really, like, disturbing. And I did.
Oh, we'll
so
get to
although
that.
it was like, because at first you're like, wow, it looks cool.
I'm glad you brought that up.
The more it goes, they're like, it looks that's dirty. I mean, it's again, it's not very subtle. And when they do that, and it's the Empire is so hard, you're like, okay, yeah, well, it's an obvious parallel, and but there is Dany, and that was really not a story arc at all, and now they're throwing that. Why? It's really disturbing when you think about it. But again, me not being really versed in that and not being a specialist, I just want to say that it hurt me out, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I know, like, really smart people who know that topic really well have things to say about it. But just I was disturbed by that.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's not the only Nazi thing to come up. But I'll bring it up when the time comes.
No, but it I also
Like
thought the same thing.
Chunk of the, like, inside and everything, like, yeah.
Everything, how she spoke, the shot, everything, like, it looked amazing, but just, and that is not Daenerys at all, since this is like the first time we heard it. Just what they've done, and it's not like even Mad Queen, because she's not really like talking like a crazy person. It's like she's now wants to be dictator of the world, like,
Right.
because she's not talking like a crazy person. She's not talking like a dictator now, because she's not being like illogical or like except that moment in which she lost control in the episode 5. She's just doesn't care shit about anyone else, and she's just gonna do what she's gonna do, and she's gonna take over everything.
That was my question: is who's she liberating these people from at this point? Like, she wants to liberate everyone so she could be the. That's not how I felt her arc was going at one point in the series. So it's kind of weird, the about face, and like I said, I think that has to do with of course, pacing issues and the fact they couldn't flesh things out. Like, we needed like 2 more seasons of shit. So
That or you don't include that speech.
This might be the worst turn I've ever seen. It might top Revenge of the Sith. I mean, that was a terrible, nonsensical turn. This might be worse. It might be worse. Yeah.
I mean, well,
Because
look,
it came completely out of nowhere. This was never her story. Like, even if this is how it, just going back to even if they knew the ending, and this was going to get how it was going to end. If you do a different storyline, you can't end it in the same place. You do a different ending. One that makes sense. One that follows the storyline that you've been showing. You cannot do one storyline and then suddenly end it where the books are supposed to, if this is how the books are supposed to end. Because it makes no freaking sense. Because this was never her storyline. She was never going to be a dictator. They never showed that. And you just can't suddenly say in the last season, especially in the last episode, well, fuck that. I'm going to be dictator of the world. I'm going to burn everything. You just can't.
Look, Tink, from her point of view, the Jedi are evil. Or just because. Just because. Just because.
No, but she went full Anakin. He went like from wanting to protect children to murdering children. It's the same thing.
To be fair, when John tells her about the children, she does get a look on her face like of remorse. But she tries to justify it. But
from my point of view, hey LT, from my point of view, the children are evil.
I went back and I looked at the part where the Dothraki charged, and then after when they came back, I counted like 7 Dothraki running back and Jorah, and we didn't see Ghost. So yeah, like, did they have reserves hidden somewhere? Because in this scene, we got a lot of Dothraki, and same thing with the Unsullied. You know, the whole thing that John or the Sansa and them were saying, your army's hurt, my army's hurt, and then all of a sudden there's they just for the show just countlessly forgets stuff. So
it doesn't forget; it just doesn't care.
Yeah, it does forget. Remember, Danny forgot the Iron Fleet.
Well, I think that's a problem with, like, and I don't know, I can't say I'm super versed in how television writing is done, but I know Game of Thrones has a lot. I mean, I know like Star Trek had many different writers, except they didn't have a continual storyline. They were all contained in episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in this, like, I don't know how other TV shows work, but this show had many different writers, and then you're going to lose those small little nuances of continuity.
But it doesn't have that many writers, and as showrunners, they're the ones who do the main, like the showrunners are the ones who plot out how the entire season is going to be and say, this is the storyline, this is what's supposed to happen, and then the other writers write it, but they have to be approved by the showrunners. Every episode has to be approved by them. So
that's what happens when they don't care anymore. They obviously don't care. They wanted to move on. I mean, that's the bottom line.
But they wanted to move on, but they never hired writers. I think the most they did was they let Cogman do some work.
No, because they could have given this show to someone else when they decided to move on. But they wanted the glory and the recognition of the most watched shows being just with their names. Because J.R. Martin wanted it to last to 10, 11 seasons. But no, they wanted everyone. They wanted the cake and eat it too. They wanted the whole recognition, the money, and the fame that came from the show, but they wanted to end it to do their own projects as well. So I'm sorry, this is what pisses me off.
I saw an interview.
Project, fuck it. Move to another project and get someone else who's interested. Don't stick with it just what you want to get the fame and to the money and then fuck off and destroy the show.
I honestly, truly believe if they stuck to the books wholeheartedly, we would still be in a Clash of Kings right now. We'd be like at season 8. In a Clash of Kings. It'd be like 15, 17 seasons if you went all 5 books.
In all fairness, it'd be hard to have the same actors for 15, 17 seasons, and it'd be believable.
Maybe like an intermediate, not 8 seasons, but not 17.
Yeah, I think they could have went with 10.
Well, yeah, George wanted 10. I think there was a way for them to do 10 without it being too crazy, where they could have tied things together better. Look, for those who say, like, yeah, how could you not see this coming? or whatever. Look, I kind of called it just based off of the facial expressions that she had a few years ago, and then she started acting like Daffy Duck last season. Everything mine, 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 bend the knee. I was like, okay, I see where they're taking it, but you know, look, it's a far cry from saying, yeah, I want uh, people in Westeros to bend the knee versus I'm going to burn down the whole city and I'm going to burn down the whole. I don't think burn the whole world down was foreshadowed. I'm
I
sorry.
think
Believe,
honestly, I think after what happened in King's Landing, I don't think why are they so worried. Everybody would probably bend the knee after they heard about what happened to King's Landing.
I mean,
Well,
look,
can
I
we
don't
talk?
think. I mean, well,
Go
look, I
ahead.
don't think people are trying to be enslaved.
Yeah,
What
but what are you gonna do? You can't defeat a dragon.
What
All the
about
scorpions are
Can
gone.
we talk about John making excuses for Danny? He's still drinking the Kool Aid.
Well, first off, we actually, I mean, because we're kind of jumping, jumping around through the episode and other stuff right now. We should, try to stay focused. 'Cause we got to get to the whole fact that after she names Grey Worm her master of war and gives her speech about basically liberating everyone from Winterfell to Dorne and from the Karth to the Summer Isles and everywhere else. Tyrion pops up and she's like, "Hey, I know you betrayed me." Uh, and to a certain extent, she seems like she's kind of willing to forgive him for the fact that she pretty much kind of already figures Jamie and Cersei must be dead already. It was like, look, I'll let that go because I won. But the moment that Tyrion takes off that pin and tosses it, it was like, oh, you ungrateful motherfucker. Take him away. Get him out of here.
I thought Tyrion should have just said, "Oh, you noticed?" Because no one was chasing him.
I mean, listen, I think at that point, there might still be thoughts rattling around in her head about you can't just go around killing all of the people who are loyal to you, right? And I think there is a certain point to where she kind of realizes that even though Tyrion might have freed his sister, or I mean, freed his brother or whatever, she already knows she has this in the bag. Who's going to stop her? The people who actually can threaten her or could have threatened her in her mind no longer exist. It was like, you know what? Cool. Be there, if you want. You know, um it is what it is. Um but yeah, thoughts on Tyrion deciding to literally throw it all away right in the face of the Unsullied and the Dothraki standing right there, and with John kind of standing there, with his little meek self. And we'll start off with James on this one.
I actually enjoyed the scene, even though we got the imagery that we got. I thought the speech was actually well acted and was impassioned. And I actually liked that what Tyrion did, because I mean it showed incredible bravery to stand up for his conviction at that point, because he threw the pin, or I don't remember if he threw the pin, or yeah, he threw the pin before he even knew that Danny knew that he freed his brother and sister. So he knew either way that he was ready to take whatever was going to come to him, because his conviction of knowing that what she did in his mind was not right. So I enjoyed the scene for that. At least a little bit of redemption for Tyrion. He never did anything necessarily bad or anything. He just was kind of dumb. But I thought it was a moment of bravery for Tyrion.
What he should have said was, "You were my sister, Daenerys. I loved you. You were supposed to bring balance to the Westeros, not turn it into ashes."
Oh my god! All right, LT.
For a minute there, when I watched this scene, I thought Tyrion was gonna assassinate Daenerys. Like I really did. The look on his face when he first walking up, he just looks disgusted. And yeah, Drogon looked amazing, and I agree with everything JB said. It did take courage to do that in front of her. That's all I got to say.
All right, Tinker.
At this point, I think it would have been much more interesting if Tyrion had killed her than what we get later on with Jon. Because what they've done with Jon this season is even worse than what they did with Tyrion. And I'm like, well, at least he's doing something, you know? Just I don't know. I didn't even care. That was like so. What annoys me the most is that Emilia Clarke is doing such a great job with the garbage that they're giving her in the season. Like seriously, she's doing like they've given her garbage, and she's doing such a great job, and she's never looked more beautiful than she did in this episode. And I actually really feel for her. I feel for her because she's done her very best to do something really special with Daenerys, and to end like this.
I mean, I wish I knew what to tell you on that. And
Not really much to really add to that so far.
all right, Jerry.
I already told you. You should just said I turned it into ashes.
Hmm.
You were the chosen Targaryen.
Mm-mm-mm. Well, after this, we get a nice little scene of Jon and Arya having a nice little family get together chat with Arya saying, "Hey, yeah, your girl, she's kind of man, it's kind of crazy, huh? She's killing people, huh? Yeah. Perhaps you should do something about that." Oh, no, she's queen. You've been saying that, but kind of look around. There were a million people in this city. Were a million people in this city. I got shit to do. I'm gonna go now.
Oh, about that. How did your armies not burn? Your armies were in the middle of
Her
the
armies
city.
were way back there. She
Yeah.
did the inner. She
No,
burned the inner part.
Remember, Qui-Gon said that the Unsullied had breached, that they were inside the
Qui-Gon
keep.
Jinn?
Qui-Gon
Qui-Gon.
told that to Cersei, and the Dothraki were riding through the city. We see that when Arya's escaping, yet none of her troops burned.
Well, they were supposed to all die. I mean, we know these Dothraki have resurrection powers because they died. They apparently died in episode 3, and then they're back, and now they got burned in episode 5. Now they're back.
You know what? They have some of Dany's.
They are. They are the Dothraki. You know what? I figured it out. That the Dothraki, they survive getting killed by the ice. They survive being killed by. They are the song of ice and fire.
Oh, Jerry, it's nice to be on the same side for once.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Who would have known the stallion that mounts the world is Azor Ahai, and the prince that was promised, and the stallion that was promised, and
Nissa.
And Nissa.
Mm-mm-mm.
And the Night King.
Oh my god.
The Night King was probably Drogo. It was probably Drogo.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. James, you got anything about Arya's little powwow with Jon there?
Nope.
Okay. And LT seems to be away for right now. So when he comes back, we'll talk with him. All right. Yeah. Next up, we get Jon deciding to go and have a little talk with Tyrion. And just like, hey, dude, come on, man. We're all supposed to be on the same side here, man. Why why are you betraying our queen? Like, do you not realize she just killed 1,000,000 people? I mean, but come on, man. She had to do it, man. You know, Cersei and your brother. 1,000,000 people, John. You know you're supposed to be king, right? But, you know.
Can I say one thing about this whole John making excuses for her? Like, John tries to say, well, you didn't see what was going on in the back. Like, he was standing right next to him. And Tyrion was just walking last episode. He's just walking around. Just walking, you know? Like he was going to, you know, Mordor. He's just walking, you know?
Because he has plot armor.
He's got everything. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't even think John was closer than Tyrion. So I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
I mean, listen, you know, I honestly speaking, I don't know what to say about John's making excuses. Because really, it's like, okay, I understand, you know, you feel like you don't, like, even after the revelations or whatever, you, for whatever reason, still don't feel as though you deserve to be the king, right? You know, because you've had this whole idea in your mind for all this time that you were a bastard who had no right to anything. You feel as though you have done things wrong and that you don't really deserve to sit the Iron Throne, right? But you haven't went and slaughtered innocent people, because if that were the case, there would be no Wildling. You know.
But not only that, it's not that he doesn't think that he deserves it, it's that he just doesn't want it. And he doesn't want it because the writers are using that as a way for him not to end up in the throne. They haven't actually given us a reason or an excuse. They just knew what the ending that they wanted to be. So, like, that's my problem with this season. They know what they want the plot to be, so they're forcing the characters to act in certain ways to fulfill the plot, instead of letting the plot develop from the characters. That's the main problem.
Yeah.
And they clearly didn't want Jon or Dany in the throne because it would be too predictable. That's what they've been saying, that they wanted to surprise people. So Jon is the clear, obvious choice if you're not going to get Dany. So you get Jon, oh, I don't want a throne, I don't want a throne, I don't want the throne, making excuses until everything is so terrible that he then is forced to kill Dany. And then once he does that with all of the Unsullied there, then you have a reason to get rid of him and for him not to be king. It's just not simple in the writer's mind. There's nothing to do with excuses or reasons. They just knew what their ending they wanted to be, and then they forced the situation, so that would be the ending.
With this whole situation with Jon and his conflictions here, I just wish they would have done a better job with their whole romance plot to begin with. It seemed underdeveloped. I wish it was a little stronger, so this would have made more sense on his lack of conviction one way or another. But because their romance fell flat to me, and it didn't seem super strong, their bond. But he obviously is really struggling with this decision at this point. So I wish, and obviously, you know, that's the bad thing about this medium of TV. You get all the good shit with TV, but we're not getting Jon's inner thoughts on his inner conflictions. And they needed to do a better job of overtly conveying those, aside from just that's his queen. So, but yeah, I wish that scene with Tyrion and Jon was actually a little quicker, because they needed to cut some things here. Pretty much, Tyrion just needed to go straight to the sister bit, and we could have moved on. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that.
I mean, you know what? It's funny because it seems as though like they were trying to make a call back to season 1, and kind of inverted it a little bit with the Varys and Ned thing, where Ned was, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm ready to die. Because when Tyrion brings up, like, hey, do you think that, you know, I'll be the last man she executes? Like, you have a better claim to the throne. Sooner or later, she's going to come after you. And John's like, oh well, you know, if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do is fine, man. Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? All right, fine. What about when she goes after Arya and Sansa? Oh no, they'll bend the knee to like you're fucking kidding me. Right? You do realize they're never going to bend the knee to Daenerys, and Daenerys is going to fucking kill them. And he's like, oh man, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, dude. So I can't kill her from this jail cell. If you don't want your entire family to be wiped out, you better go and kill her right now.
Well, before and during that though, I guess this might be time to bring up the next Nazi thing that poor Quentin actually pointed out pretty well was how during this whole scene he tried Dan and Dave tried to do a little parallel of where the way he had Tyrion spoke about it. He's like, you know, when we killed the Astapor, they were evil men. We went crazy. We said we cheered her when we did this. When we killed the Marinese, we cheered her. But now, blah blah blah. There's no one left, or something like that. And that mirrors, and it does kind of mirror, like not exact the fuck.
Sorry, I'm muting.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh man.
So,
Okay.
anyways, that kind of does mirror the poem about you know from about the Holocaust, about where they came first. The Nazis came first for the Catholics, but it was okay because I was proud. They came for blah blah blah, but it's okay because I was such and such. And then finally, then they finally came for me, and there was no one left. So it's kind of a mirror of that poem, and I know poor Quentin took offense to that, so I don't know what y'all guys think. More Danny is Hitler symbolism, I guess.
Right. I mean, and I get what
it's unfair to it's unfair. I'll never accept that. I don't even like Danny in the books, but I will. She's shown too much good, at least attempted good, or wants to be good, to ever be compared to something that evil. In my opinion.
I agree, because I also think that she gets treated unfairly. Like, everyone was saying, oh, but she's done such terrible things. I'm like, how many other people have done terrible things? And they're like, oh, that's how the world there works. That doesn't mean that they're crazy or being overlord. But Dany is like, oh, yeah, but she's still Targaryen. That's to show that she's like going crazy. Yes, but when Arya was killing everyone, was making pies out of Freys, no one was saying that she was going crazy.
John was killing Ollie. No one was saying he's going crazy.
I mean, the problem is, if you're going to do it, set it up earlier. Don't just do it in the last 2 episodes of the whole season, of the whole series. Like, if you're going to go for it, whatever. It's whatever their interpretation of whatever is, but at least set it up right. And they didn't.
Yeah. Well, after this, we get John.
And did Anne have anything to say about this?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I might get interrupted again. I gotta, always have a cat situation. So I'm sorry, that was very, because I couldn't really pay attention to what you guys were saying, and I want to be redundant and hold on the stream, but I got kind of lost. I thought I'm going to try to sum it up, because I'll harken back to the Tyrion and Jon scene, but basically my take is that a little bit of Tyrion resigning and a little bit of the Jon Tyrion scene is Tyrion using his mad people skill to just manipulate Jon to do exactly what Jon did. It's kind of, I'm sorry, here we go. Like, in the books, the way Tyrion gets young Griff to reveal that he's Vagon, using his same, like, mad people skills to do that. Like, that's it. Like, that's exactly what it is. Okay, so I'm not gonna, because I have a big rant daily for either our council scene or the end of our stream. But yeah, like that's how I read that scene. And so like that's how I read like the whole Tyrion and Jon interaction. And yeah, like Jon again, like clearly that was ridiculous. Like when Arya and Sansa, like the scene in episode 4 when he reveals at the end of that scene he reveals his Targaryen heritage to them. I mean, technically Bran reveals it. They told him like pretty much like that they will not bend the D. Like I think Arya tells something like, yeah, okay, yeah. Thanks your queen for helping us out. That was good, but like now we don't like her. Okay, bye-bye, queen. You know, like now we don't want anything to do with her. You know, it's over. Like he knows that they won't bend the knee to her. Like they've been really clear about that.
They couldn't even keep a promise under a heart, under a heart tree. So.
Yeah, well, that Jon might not know, you know, but at least like before he made them promise, I assume again, Ned's son promised me, but like, you know, when he asked, you know, they were clear like, yeah, no, we're not behind them. We're not behind them. We're not behind her. Like, and the promise was promise to not tell anyone who I am, like clear parallel to promise me Ned. It's not promise me that you'll stand behind her. That's promise me to not reveal the secret I'm going to tell you. So that's what they promised. That they didn't keep. We as viewers know, but that's beside the point. They were like, so he knows. No, they're not. They told you, dude, that they were not going to stand behind her. They told you that. So yeah, no. So it's just Jon, like it's just Tyrion, like exactly getting Jon where he wants him to go, like to getting. And then okay, so the throne scene, because okay, last episode we had. You know, like we had touched on the, like, so I'm sorry, have you touched on how that was a reboot of the, Undying? Yeah.
The show version of the House of the Undying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually about to get to.
Okay.
To
Oh, I'm sorry, because I didn't know because I had, yeah.
Why don't we just start it with you, and I mean, might as well just...
Okay. So because so sorry guys, I'm real so sorry about that. So last episode, that's kind of the only prediction where I don't have to I don't want to fucking slap myself. You know, that we kind of had right was like, oh yes, okay, that was not the ashes that we see falling. Oh, that's reminiscent from Dany's vision show in the House of the Undying in the show when she's in the throne room. So naturally, I went back to rewatch that scene before this episode, and it is exactly like scene by scene, no, plan by plan. It's exactly down to the music. The starting music is exactly the same with the voices. It's exactly the entrance is actually laid out the same. The only thing that's different is that in the House of the Undying, you hear it really sounds like she's stepping on snow. Like you hear like clear, like crunch, crunch, I'm stepping on snow sound, where here it sounds more like she's stepping on ashes. Like it doesn't make the same like crunchy noises, but it's exactly the same thing. Like it's exactly the same pacing. They exactly copied the scene.
The destruction is not the same. The throne room is more destroyed than it is in the House of the Undying.
I don't remember. I've only seen that episode once. I was so disappointed with that version of the House of the Undying. I've tried to block it out of my mind.
You know, it's just because I've rewatched the scene, and it's like the shots are the same. Like there's Dany, it's the same angle, the same music starting at the same time, the same paces. They show the angle, and then she touches the throne, and there's a little bit of, yeah.
I also went back and watched it just to see how close they got. And the destruction is much bigger. In the House of the Undying, only a bit of the ceiling and just, like the glass until there it's destroyed. While here it's part of it, like the throne doesn't have a wall, so it's not exactly the same. And I think they just kind of used it. I think a lot of what they did in the past, they're like, okay, so how can we do it so it mirrors, so it looks like we actually had a plan when we didn't have a plan. And can we talk about how stupid Drogon burning down the Iron Throne is?
I thought that was good actually, but
Well, before
It's a dragon. It doesn't think philosophically like people.
Well, okay, I just wanted to.
The way it was done was stupid, but
before we move on to Drogon, I kind of wanted to have your thought on that. Okay, close or not close, it was still pretty close, right? Think you agree?
Yes,
that it was
pretty close.
So, I would like to have your thought. That's the only prophecy in the show. That's prophecy. Yeah. So I know I should not ask that question, but would you say in the show they tried to make a use of a self-fulfilling prophecy? I'd like to have your thought on that idea. Because
they don't care two shits about prophecies.
I don't think so.
When it sort of fits them, kind of like with Arya with the eyes, they're like, "Ooh, we can sort of use this as an excuse to make Arya kill the Night King." And they sort of use that, but then they forget the green eyes thing because she didn't kill either Cersei or Dany, so it wasn't completely fulfilled. The whole Valonqar thing, unless it's like rocks, it doesn't happen. The whole prince that was promised didn't exist. I think that if they can use some words or image that they've used in the first seasons when they were actually following the show, they're like, oh, look, we were clever. This was always being foreshadowed, and they kind of use it as an excuse to fulfill the plot. If not, they completely forget about it. And in this case, they wanted to destroy it, and they used the same imagery.
I don't think it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. The reason being is they didn't consistently keep showing it throughout the series. If they would have kept showing it throughout the series and showing throughout the whole series, then I could see that. I ultimately think they just put that in there. They put snow. They made it seem like it'd be snow there, because so people would think that the whole White Walker plot would be coming down to King's Landing and Dany would be the liberator of the city. But I think they honestly just put that there to subvert expectations, to have it shown that Dany took it by fire and it's ash. But yeah, like I said, I felt like if they just would have consistently put it throughout the whole series, then I could buy that. But they didn't, so I don't know if that's the case.
I don't know how we're expecting Dany to remember the house at the end. She can't even remember the Iron Fleet. The Iron Fleet. How is she gonna remember the House of the Undying?
Okay.
I blame Varys and Tyrion more for forgetting. They're supposed to be her advisors. And Varys, seriously, what happened to him? What happened to the spy master genius?
That's what happens when you ham fist things and you cut out Fagon, who Varys is supposed to be.
I think would have been cool if for the whole self-fulfilling prophecy is if they would have kept showing it throughout the series and had Quaithe constantly whispering to her remember the House of the Undying or something like that. Then I could see that being the case. I mean, that's just what'd you think, Anne? You thought that was the case?
No, I don't know. I just because I was trying to be positive a little bit because I'm going to be so angry later. And because that's the thing that I know that was a gripe that you've had, I was kind of aiming that question mostly at you, James, that you've been, because that's a gripe you've been raising throughout this season a lot. So I thought that was a little, it's not, yes, it could have been done better, but but I thought it was pretty cool. I thought was pretty cool that we call back to that okay, I'm sorry because I'm still a little rattled by the cats starting fighting, and I need to keep an eye on her, but I think it was really pretty cool that I don't know, okay, because I want to try to not think about D and other people being like eating your genes in your blood, because that is problematic on so many levels. But basically, like, dude, you got so show Danny again. You got so focused on that one goal, little by little, so consumed by it, you know, your prophecy, so consumed by it that it, you know, became your downfall.
No, I'm glad. I mean, I was glad they made, they made it shot by shot and tied it back in. I was just talking about the notion of, well, and maybe it is, it could be definitely a self-fulfilling prophecy. They just should have.
And I know it does not save the, like, that's my thing. It's like, yeah, was it foreshadowed? Yes. Does foreshadowing compensate for lack of character progression? No. So again, like that whole thing. But still, like, it was something slightly, the fact that they tried to do that, and incorporate that in that scene was a little redeeming thing for me. So I liked it. And that's what I want to say.
I think it's kind of similar to the Eyes thing, to where, they thought they were being clever by bringing some of it back, but, well, what does the fucking Drogon and child have anything to do with what we're seeing now that we saw in the House of Van Dyne? Nothing. Just so they were able to use some of it.
And the House of Van Dyne was clearly snow, not ash.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
LT. Tell us your thoughts.
The House of Van Dyne don't mean shit. Jon's parentage don't mean shit. It's all poop.
Okay.
Well,
all right. So we're gonna talk about now. One thing I'll tell you. One thing I did like is the little throw out there to where she mentions how the Iron Throne should look when she's like, it should be towering high. I would think more swords would look like that. That is one thing I did like.
I did like that.
So we're going to talk about now what the back and forth between Jon and Danny.
Yeah, I mean, look,
That's
Jon.
Conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Jon, approaches her from the shadows, and I gotta be honest, play that he comes out of the dark like that for like a very small split second. I thought it might have been Arya.
Me too.
Because we never seen Jon kind of come out of the shadows like that. But I mean, we got the scene with him walking past Drogon, and that was kind of crazy because it looked like a pile of bricks until it started moving. I'm like, holy shit! All right, Drogon goes, he smells Jon. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I know you. You're cool. You can go up. And when Daenerys is, doing her little soliloquy about it, I couldn't even count to 20, and I imagine that the Iron Throne, with 1,000 blades would be something that you, would have to climb so high that you wouldn't even be able to see to the bottom of it. And then Jon is like, no, we don't talk about this. You killed damn near everybody. What the fuck are you doing? She's like, but Cersei and liberation and
it really didn't make any sense.
Like, come on. I thought you
really did. It just really didn't make any sense. Like, I think Quinn nailed it on the the hammer on the nail, where he's just like, well, if that was your thoughts, then she should have just gone directly to the Red Keep. If that was the case, which would have been more believable. Like, that's why I said it. I said it last episode that it would have been better if it would have been a misunderstanding. She went to the Red Keep, burned it down, killed Cersei, and then accidentally shot off a chain of wildfire, and then all of a sudden the common folk are like, get her, and then she's like, oh fuck, what do I do? Like, it's all a misunderstanding. Like, she'll still burn them, but it's because of a misunderstanding, like, just from different perspectives. But here she's just talking crazy, and so of course Jon, in a very anticlimactic way, stabs her with his. I thought it was needle actually for a minute, where how he stabbed her, and he did it while
Well, I mean,
it's well, what's the funny thing about real quick. So the funny thing about this is the fact that Jon is able to walk up on the queen. She has absolutely no guard at this point, which I'm like, okay, cool. You just burned down King's Landing or whatever. There is no opposition because literally they've all been killed. But for some
and you
reason,
have to get to Drogon. You have to go
Right.
through Drogon to get to
Right.
her.
Well,
right, I
Drogon
get
let
that,
him through,
but
so let him through. So that
right, but think about it like this though, right? In order for him to see Tyrion, he had to take off his sword and his knife. But for him to go see the queen, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. Approach with your weapons, you're good.
Well, they probably felt that Drogon was enough, like that to protect her.
I mean, my whole thing is if Tyrion is a prisoner set to be executed, why are you making Jon give up his weapons to go see someone who's going to be executed? And supposedly, remember at this point, Jon is still, with the Unsullied and with Daenerys and all that. So, to me, it was just one of those things that was kind of. It was kind of one of those.
I don't
things
think it's that bad. They knew they were banging. They knew he. They thought he was going to stab her in a different way. So whatever.
Well, see, I'm not going to expound upon too much on this scene. I thought it was a little anticlimactic. But see, what I think has happened. I think it's similar to a Stannis situation where George told them the end, and they paved their own road there. So yeah, the whole misdirection. Maybe this, maybe George said something happens with Dany and King's Landing, causes whatever, and then Jon ends up stabbing her or whatever. So then they just were like, oh shit, this is how that happens. So that's what I think. I mean, I really don't have too much to say because it is, at this point. But I found it to be anticlimactic. I mean, it was sad. I'm not the hugest Dany fan in the world, but I can see where people who would definitely have qualms, especially coming from a person who is a Stannis fan, who went through the same stuff in season 5. So I can empathize with Dany fans. So
I've been
saying it's going to happen for years. I do got to credit Tony Teflon on that. He pointed me. 4 years ago, he said Jon was gonna stab Dany. So, and I bought into my own theory. It wasn't in the same context. It was in the Azor Ahai Nissa context, but and I still believe that that's kind of something similar is what's going to happen in the books. And like James just said, Dan and Dave read Jon kills Dany, stabs her, and they came up with this.
I mean, look, it is what it is with that. I mean, what? I don't think that the scene was supposed to be a climactic scene. I think
Dany deserved a climactic scene.
She did, but I don't think that this was supposed to be some climactic scene. I think it was supposed to be it was supposed to be a little bit of a letdown to a certain extent.
She should have had like a climactic scene like Black Widow in Endgame. I'll just leave it at that.
Isn't that a spoiler?
No, because we don't know what Black Widow did. She might have killed someone climactically. She might have been.
Come on, it's come out weeks ago. If you haven't seen it, it's everywhere, anyways.
Explain. Sorry.
No, go ahead, LT.
Could you guys explain to me why Drogon didn't burn Jon? It fucking makes no sense that he burns the Iron Throne. Jerry, I know you like it because you think it might happen in the books, but there's no way. I don't care. Okay, Targ blood, yeah, but there's no reason why. That was his mother, and he just looks at Jon and burns the throne. Like, there's some people that said, oh, Drogon probably didn't know and thinks that Dany died on the throne, and he's confused. But to me, there's no reason why.
Look, I'll tell you right here. It makes zero sense, and you're 100% right. But you know what? It's made so much. We've been making so much little sense for a while. I've just become numb to it, and I'm just like, "Oh, Iron Throne's gone. Okay,
No, but
Yeah.
that's just like the height. Just the entire scene was the height of stupidity because their dialogue made no sense. By the way, I don't
Well,
know how
yeah.
you read that dialogue and don't realize that is just terrible dialogue. Because she doesn't say everything. He doesn't say just horrible, cringe-worthy dialogue. Then the way that then not only that, she's been making full like ever since she figured out who he was. She's been trying to kiss him and do more, and he was like throwing herself back. And in the last episode, she's like, "Okay, well, fear it is." And then she goes back and is like, "Oh, we're gonna rule together." When he's clearly shown her several times that that's not happening. Like, it's humiliating what they've done to Dani. Like,
Yes.
seriously, she was such a powerful female character that was like, that how she did with Drogo at the first season, how she slowly they like became partners and not just letting him fuck her, and then with the sellswords, and now she's like this, oh, John, like it just in a relationship that we've barely seen because it started at the end of the last season and we've had like several episodes and now they're like what epic lovers. How long have they known each other? Not that long, and she keeps trying to go and like, but she doesn't want to share power, but then they're gonna get like, it made the entire thing was ridiculous. Then
No.
he kills her and she's
Real
like
quick,
super betrayed when and then Drogon clearly sees his mother in his arms, so with a knife, so there can be no confusion. He's like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy," and then instead of killing him, and people say because he's Targaryen, but come on, Targaryens have used dragons against other Targaryens since the freaking beginning. The Dance of Dragons. That's why they ended up with the freaking dragons. They fed each other to the bloody dragons, so it has nothing to do with Targaryen blood. And there's like, oh, I'm gonna destroy the throne. I heard ridiculous things like people saying, oh no, it's symbolic because he knows that the throne is what ended up killing her. And like, are you kidding me? It's a bloody animal. It's not like in the Lord of the Rings where Smaug could talk and could think and was clever.
Yeah.
He's just a bleeding animal. He doesn't understand all that. He should have, I actually would have liked it better if that's how Jon Snow went out, just doing, okay, I did what I did. If the dragon kills me, the dragon kills me. Or he tries to kill Drogon. Because the fact is that then the ginormous dragon is still alive. There's no one to ride it, and he's gone up to his husband and what? What's the dragon gonna do now? Like, or Bron's gonna control, like, just nothing made any freaking sense.
Whoa.
Okay,
Whoa,
unless we're
whoa.
going really, really, really far-fetched, like really far-fetched.
Kink, I just gotta ask you: Did you get denied as well by Kit Harington because you're going a little mad? And from Dan and Dave, they told me that's what happens.
Listen, Jerry, no, Jerry, that's not cool. That's really not cool, Jerry. Like that was not cool at all.
No.
Like that was not
No,
funny.
no.
Like that was.
It's humiliated and it's very sexist what they've done with Dan in the last episodes. It's
That's
so
the point I
sexist
was making.
that it's painful, and it's made me really, really angry with the writers because they had great female characters, and it was one of the things that I loved about George's books. It didn't matter if you were man or woman, old or young, poor or rich. They were treated like genuine, true, people. All of them with shades of grays. And then they started making them or black and white in the show. And then they went from Dani from being white and being a hero to in 2 episodes turning her into a villain and suddenly being rejected by some dude makes her even crazier or makes her like guy obsessed, and it's just humiliating what the that powerful female character.
I'm trying to think what was the line that she said, because she essentially stated when John asked, like, can the people choose what's good and what's right and wrong?
We'll choose for them.
Or she says like they don't have a choice or they can't.
Something like that.
I just thought that was pretty whack.
No. That's again her being a fascist. No, I mean like again like she. No, but I totally agree with Tink. There was a lot of things that I maybe because I have a little bit less of a feminist sensibility than other people, that I didn't really share on that part, but that I really, really share. Like, it's like the way like Dani was really portrayed in that scene as a weak female, and how like because he pulled an Ygritte, but like it was again like a little bit of a copy and paste of the scene of Ygritte dying in Jon's arm, except that Ygritte and Jon and Dany and Jon, that was two totally different couples, totally different, and like having a similar death scene like made no sense, and that Ygritte died as a free woman, while Dany there died as a pathetic lovesick woman, when that made no sense at all. And
here's why it makes sense, because that was written by George R. R. Martin and taken from George R. R. Martin. This was written by Dan and Dave, who believe that you go mad for getting denied. That there you go.
You can say that, but I mean, they gave them a synopsis, so it is possible she goes mad, but it's just like you said, it was rushed. This season was rushed.
But that's not the point. No. It's not the point she goes mad. It's the point that she goes mad for these ridiculous reasons that are just
and it's precisely that dialogue, the way it was filmed, because we can all agree. We're specifically, Tinker and I, talking about that dialogue, that kiss, exactly the way she dies. We can all agree that those precise lines of dialogue are very unlikely taken from the book, exactly written, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Not the fact that we're not denying that it's possible that Jon kills Dany. That's not what we're talking about. It's that specific thing where Jon tricks Dany into loving her, gives her a passionate kiss, although he's denied that to her for like what should be weeks, months. I'm not really good on show timeline, so maybe months. He gives her a passionate kiss to make her lose her mind, and takes that opportunity to stab her. Right? That is what is very not woke, very anti-feminist, because of course the poor woman would lose her mind for a passionate kiss. And that specific way of Jon killing Dany, that is the way he was framing the show. I think we can all agree probably the cookie will not crumble that way in the books.
Sorry.
Can I just say something real quick, because I haven't said anything in a while. I want to chime in on this specific topic. Look, I don't think that every time that that someone does something and it happens to be someone that they're involved with, it's not automatically trying to show one sex or another as being weak or whatever may have you. I mean, look, I get that you do have some misogynistic elements in fiction from time to time. I don't think this was one of them. I don't think that specifically just because Jon kissed Dany in that particular moment that somehow we were supposed to be representative of she's a woman and this is the only way we can get her to shut up.
I don't think intentionally it was. I don't think, but I think look who's writing it, and look what they said before.
It's the cumulative things, Don Willie. It's the fact
kiss
that
on the forehead would have been.
He's been denying her several times, and she's like offended every time, but she's still like, we're still gonna rule together, like completely forgetting that he's been denying and not getting it. And the fact that she loses control last episode for no reason, like she's just an emotion. They've like suddenly switched Dany from who she used to be to what she is now. They've made her like some stereotype, typical woman who loses her cool, who won't accept that she's being constantly denied, to still deciding that they're gonna, like, the typical chick that just won't get it, that he's not that into you. This is kind of like what's Dany been since Jon's discovered.
Hold on one second.
Just don't like it.
But real quick, everyone here is Jedi, correct?
No. But
okay,
you can go ahead. I don't mind spoilers.
Well, for anyone who has not seen The Last Jedi, this is the same thing that happens when Kylo Ren tries to get Rey to be on his side. he goes hysterical when he gets rejected. So it's not automatically just a man versus a woman thing. Men get rejected, and sometimes they wind up going crazy too. And the moment
Yeah,
I
and
saw
it's
it,
still
I thought
stupid.
the same thing of Kylo Ren. I mean, yeah,
I
but
know, but Kylo
just
Ren
saying-
was an
We're
Look,
not
ace.
saying
look,
that it
real
cannot be
quick.
stupid the other way around. It's
All I'm
just
saying-
as stupid when it happens to Kylo Ren.
yeah,
And
but
Kylo
I'm
Ren
just
was
saying.
an emo. It was portrayed as an emo character all along, while
Right.
Danny was not. Again,
I mean-
it's not. It's Danny as a character.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying
Well,
that.
To be fair,
I don't
Danny
think that
does
it's
take-
always. I'm just saying I don't think that should be the first thought that comes to mind is, oh, they're only writing her this way because it's a woman. That's all I'm saying.
I will say that Danny does take rejection hard a lot of times, but not that kind of rejection. Not like romantic. It's usually I can't believe they don't want me to rule. They don't want me to make things better. Stuff like that. That she does. She is sensitive about that. So that in that ways I can see, but she's never been sensitive about like some dude. Won't hook up with her.
Right, and for me, this was just a whole thing about her feeling rejected by the world, and she just wanted the one person that she felt connected to accept her. The one person,
And
because
it-
remember, she grew up with the whole Targaryen, thing. It's like, hey, all right, it's fine for us to be aunt and nephew and be together. We're the last two in the world. We've ridden dragons, this, that, and the third. And it's like, hey, if everyone else in the world is not going to accept me, can you be the one? We are the last.
I can agree with that, but if the fact that John keeps accepting her as a ruler, he keeps saying you're my queen, blah 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 blah. Like, so she shouldn't be mad about. She's getting at least that respect over and over. So, and we have straight from the horse's mouth these two idiots who say whatever.
Did you guys realize one thing that I realized, and me and Jerry were talking about this last night? With this episode, House Targaryen is dead. Jon's going to the wall. He's not going to have no kids, so there's no more Targaryens.
No
House
more
Stark
dragons.
is dead.
Except for
Since
Bruce
Sansa
Leroy.
can't carry on. Bran can't carry on the name Stark. He can't have no kids. Sansa can't have no kids. So House Stark and House Targaryen with this
Wait,
show
Why
are
can't
dead.
Sansa have no kids?
Why can't Sansa have no kids?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it's been expressly stated that she can't have kids, but I think they were definitely trying to parallel Elizabeth I with the whole.
You guys are going robot.
Huh?
And everybody else here be fine?
I'll leave
Yeah.
and come back.
I hear it
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, no, I think they were trying to parallel the whole Elizabeth I kind of thing a little bit. Redhead who happens to become queen in her own right. And I don't think that she's gonna. I don't think that later on she winds up getting married and having any kids. Not that she can't have any kids.
Why not?
But her
I
name,
don't-
her name won't carry on, even if she has kids. She's Sansa Stark, but she's gonna have a son. Their son's gonna be the name of the father.
Can
It's
we
not
talk
gonna
about
be
that
necessarily.
at the end of the episode? Because that's more like
Yeah.
I have thoughts on that, but can we
Let-
keep that for like when we talk about the scenes pertinent to that?
Right.
I think we
All right,
pretty
well,
much
look-
talked about everything we need. Other than, I liked it. The reason I like the Iron Throne going away, yeah, it was executed stupid. I agree with everything everyone said here about the logic of it. I just like. I mean, Don Willie, when did y'all do the Three Dons? Like, how long ago was that?
Shit, that was like 2-3 years ago.
At least 3 years ago, and then that's when I started saying this throne's not going to be here anymore. They're going to move. They're going to rule from a different spot. Harrenhal is what I thought. So that's the only reason I like that part. But anyone else have anything more to say about this? Otherwise, we'll go to
Yeah, we
It was
gotta
just
go.
Act 2. I guess Act 2. Act 2.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I got nothing else on this part. So, all right. So yeah, after Gon leaves, It fades to black, and next thing we know, we see Tyrion being brought to the dragon pit before the Great Lord of Westeros. We get
The Great Council of Dan and Dave. What is
yeah, we get Samwell Tarly, we get Edmure Tully, we get some other guy. I have no idea. Brienne of Tarth. I don't know when she became a Great Lord, but okay.
She's
Sansa Stark. We get Arya Stark. We get Robin Arryn, who been since the last time we've seen him. Jan Royce. Some other.
We got Quentin Martell.
Lord. Yeah, we get some.
Who even cares? It doesn't really matter because like 3 of them end up talking and mattering. The others
Right,
just say hi.
Yeah, we get some dude
Davos. We get Yara.
We get Gendry.
Honestly, I watched it with subtitles, and for the guys who didn't know, it said Man 1, Man 2. For the hearing impaired, did not know more who those guys were.
That's why I said Man 2 was my favorite.
Some dude.
Man 2.
Yeah, man, it's so yeah, they Tyrion tries to talk. Grey Worm is like, shut up. They're like, hey, you were supposed to bring Tyrion and Jon, and apparently it's been a while. Now we're not exactly sure how long it's been. Tyrion said a few weeks, but I would imagine to get all of these people here, yeah, I would say minimum it's going to be 3 weeks, maybe a month, depending on where they're coming from.
Does it matter at this point if Gendry can run like across from the fist to the wall in like a half a day? Does it matter?
Well, I mean, they did mention there is a line of dialogue stating that it was.
Yeah, well, we know from the beards that.
Yeah.
And what the goddamn Tyrion? Goddamn, how many times is this motherfucker going to be tied in chains in the damn series? It's like It's like every other season, the guy is in prison, being put on trial. Like,
I don't even care about that. I care about the speech, and the speeches are like dumb and stupid and like ridiculous. This entire scene was like.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a bit. So yeah, we get the whole back and forth, and everybody's going through their whole rigmarole, how this whole thing should go. Tyrion's like, hey, okay, well, since we don't have a king or a queen, we, the Great Lord, should choose one.
Great Council of Dan and Dave.
Yeah, and for some reason, Edmure Tully stands his dumb ass up.
I wanted to hear what he had to say, and they cut him off.
It was pretty. Yeah.
I mean,
it pissed me off big time.
But again, I've always said that he was going to go out. I thought he was going to die, but I said he was going to go out like a clown.
Died of laughter.
Like a clown.
It was cringeworthy.
Yeah, it was a little. I mean, look, I kind of feel sorry for the actor because it seems like no matter what role he plays, it's just like, yeah, you're gonna be the guy who gets clowned. We're gonna clown you here. We're gonna clown you there. We're gonna have you go away for a little while, and then when we bring you back, we're gonna clown you again. So I kind of feel a little bad for that guy, but I mean, hey, listen, he's getting his money, man. Get your coins up. All right.
He had a good. It pisses me off because he had a good case, Willie. He's the Lord of the Trident, and he was going to say something, but stupid Sansa had to cut him off. He probably had something good to say. I don't know why I'm the only one who gets Sansa, and he does have a good case. But stupid Dan and Dave don't know what they're doing and want to put Bran on the throne when fucking Gendry probably has more of a case than him. It's not, and you know what? It's not Brandon King. It's president. They're basically making him. He's president. He's not king.
Well, look,
king can be elected.
Edward Tully was being cringeworthy. What he was saying was just like painful.
I mean,
sounds like cut him out of mercy.
Yeah, he got like 2 words out, and then they're like,
yeah.
But look, real quick, I just want. I mean, look, I think
the
that was
veteran of 2 wars. Are you kidding me? What he did do is like screw up. Sansa did him a favor.
I think it was supposed to illustrate kind of his sense of entitlement because, for him to stand up and just be like, "Oh, you guys need the king? All right, so seems how I'm the most senior." Like, oh, dude. No. Because everyone knows Edmure's reputation. And that's probably the reason why Sansa was like, "Man, Uncle, sit the fuck down. Everyone knows you're not qualified for this job."
Well, if this was a real council from the books, they would have listened to what he had to say and they would have showed him respect. So I'm
Right,
I'm in total disagreement with you guys. I'm sorry.
I mean, look, LT, I understand what you're saying, but they did have to wrap it up.
Of course.
Did you really want to hear 5 minutes of Edmure?
I wanted to hear. Look, if they would have not wasted time in the beginning of this episode, me and Jerry were talking about this last night. It was like 24 minutes into the episode of stuff that was pointless. If we could have got speeches from all the lords up there that we don't even know who another lord is, and then we don't even know the Prince of Dorne is. If we could have got legitimate
Quentin
speeches
Martell.
from everybody, okay, so it's Quentin. If we could have got legitimate speeches for everyone, why? But no, they just say I, hands down. It's super annoying to me.
Well, look, I get what you're saying, but I mean, like, this whole thing with like, I got a question for everyone in the panel. How does everyone feel about the kind of jab at democracy that they took here?
Oh, that annoyed me because, like, that was kind of what Egg has been trying to do, and that's really what the series has kind of been going for, knocking down the monarchy, bringing up something. Like,
and then in 2 motherfucking seconds, they
just laugh at
that. Yeah.
It's like it's like Sam's like, "Hey, I read this book called Dunk and Egg," and they're like, "Dunk and Egg."
Yeah. Oh, okay. Now the feels are trying to, or starting. Now we got to that part. Like I feel all of the feels, they're starting to bubble up again, and I feel the rant is starting.
Well, after an impassioned plea from Tyrion Lannister, somehow a robot gets nominated as King of Westeros. What?
I hated this. I hated this so much.
Oh my god! Okay,
is it time? And is it time?
Well, do you want to go first? Because I'm gonna you have 20 minutes of me ranting, so I don't know if you want to go first.
Well, yeah. Let's leave the best for last on this rant here. So, and you go last.
Yeah.
LT, what do you think about the brand 9000?
I'm sorry, you guys. I've left the call 3 or 4 times, and what happens is you guys start going robot, then I leave and I come back. I don't know what's going on with my phone service.
No worries.
But anyways, what are we on now?
We're just talking about Bran being elected king. What do you think?
It's not that far fetched. It's possible, but John. Okay, obviously John's getting sent to the wall, but I think he should still be king. He's the one with the Targaryen blood. It just pisses me off. It pisses me off. And then if not John, because obviously John is going to the wall. Gendry is next in line because he's legitimized. He's got Targaryen and Baratheon blood, so Gendry should be king. This really pisses me off. It does.
James, I know you don't think it's far fetched. I mean, I don't think it's far fetched either. But...
No, I mean, I just think it's like I said last night that George had planned a 5-year stretch in the book, still could. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying maybe that's the case. This was the ending that D&D was told for Bran, and maybe it'll make a lot more sense in the books. It doesn't, obviously, in this iteration, maybe it doesn't make sense. But my question is, why Tyrion in chains gets to make the big decision? Why does he even have, he's the one that's in chains here in this situation? 2, yes, we get it that Grey Worm is upset, but the Unsullied, would they really have this staunch position at this point without Daenerys being alive? Also, why is Jon still alive? Wouldn't they just have executed him if what they wanted was justice for him? If they just wanted justice for Dany, wouldn't they just killed Jon and moved on? Instead of what was their plan to hold up in King's Landing for the rest of their lives, and that was their plan.
Yeah, I think
guess.
that that's our city now.
Yeah, and then
Whatever.
they end up just piecing out anyway. After John gets sent to the wall, that's their big resolution. But shit.
Shit.
Yeah, yeah, I really don't. Aside from that, I guess I'll just take the back seat on this one.
All right.
Okay.
But Tinker.
I'll say, or no, let Tink go in.
Yeah, Tinker.
Then we'll get Anne's with the big rant.
I hated this. I hated this so much because you keep saying that it's not so far-fetched in the book, but it is far-fetched in the show. They haven't done anything to get here in the show. I don't care how it ends in the book if it doesn't make any sense in the show, because at this point they've diverged so much from the books that they need to give us an ending that makes sense for the show, not for the books, because the books are something completely different now. And in the show canon, it makes absolutely no sense, because the whole thing is like, they're like saying, oh, he can't have kids, so another person is elected. But the next person that is elected will have kids. And they'll want their kids to inherit, and they'll get it. And then the whole democracy thing will go out the window again. So it's completely pointless. The whole breaking the wheel thing makes absolutely no sense, and it's not gonna freaking last. Not only that, Sansa being freaking independent, and then why doesn't the Grey just say, well, we're independent as well? Dorne, are you kidding me? Dorne had to come in to freaking marriage. They killed one of the Meraxes, and they're like, oh yeah, don't worry, the North can be independent, but we'll be freaking, but nothing makes sense. And with Bran, except like 3 people, no one knows freaking Bran. And only that, the whole excuse that he has the best story, that's bullshit. Jon has the whole secret, never knew who his parents was. Sansa has a better story. Arya has a better story. Like, Gendry has no, just nothing made sense. It's like they wanted Bran to end up in the throne, and not only that, like, will you be in the throne? Like, that's where it came from. The whole did Bran know? Did he like let all of this happen so he could end here? And then that makes all the things that they said about him, that he would be a good king, it validates all of it. Just doesn't make any sense. Go ahead, sweet.
Hold on. I gotta go before sweet.
Really?
No, you can go.
Oh, okay. So here, but the bottom line, I think, is that this wasn't about breaking the wheel. It was about adding one more. But okay. So back to seriously. So yeah, it's and I said this. How many seasons ago did I say that with the changes that they were going to do, that they were going to have to ham-fist bringing in George's ending to what they were doing, and it's not going to make any sense. I said that years ago.
This is George's ending, and they just didn't do it to subvert expectations, which is all that they've been doing.
Sure that the whole
before we talk about George's ending, because I feel like we're just versing for my rent right now, guys.
Well, I just have one.
I'll say what I have to.
Let Anne go before she explodes.
Yeah, I see her getting more red. Let's go.
Yeah, but everybody wants to say one word, but that word doesn't just end up being one word.
Yeah, go ahead, sweet, explode. I know what it feels like.
And then James. James has to have his due.
I know, but is that really one word? Because everybody wants to answer. Yeah, James, you can say one word.
Go for it. You're good.
Okay, so why did everybody say yes to Bran? No one said yes to Bran. Okay, so guys, we were motherfucking prophets when you started calling everyone King Sansa. So, yes, Queen in the North! Everybody's really happy that Sansa is Queen in the North. Nobody's asking, how the fuck did she get there? Like, what did she have to do to get there? Okay. I'm not going to be even coherent there. I'm not even going to try. So why did everybody say yes to Bran? Bran makes no sense that anyone would say yes to a crippled boy from a kingdom that's separate, that is not even part of the rest of the world. Why everybody said yes? It's just because Sansa just threatened Grey Worm and the Unsullied, the big army, that they could fuck shit up with a big northern army that they can see that is there. Everyone else came with a retinue of a few hundred men max, and they can see the big northern army being there. Okay? They can see the big Northern Army. If they say no to Bran, they're going to be fucked up. That's why they're voting yes. That's the only reason. Sansa's like, you're voting yeah, or I'm like, you guys are donezo. Who called that council, do you think? Who can possibly call that council? It's not King's Landing. They totally do not know how to operate ravens. King's Landing is burned. There are no more ravens. So possibly Sam from the Citadel, but we don't we don't know where he went last episode. So possibly from Hornhill, Sam, we know he knows how to operate Raven, but it's not. The most likely persons who called for that council are Sansa from Winterfell. That's the most likely person to have called that council there. I'm saying that, yes, the show, why I'm so angry is that, yes, and I've been the one, I've said, if you've ever watched A Clash of Queens, if you've ever watched me, I said that I thought the Stark kids were going to turn dark in Tiwo. You've heard me say that. I was talking about the books, not the show, I never thought they would make them the monsters, the ultimate monsters of the end game of the show, which is exactly what they did of the books, which is exactly what they did in the show. So yes, pretty much we get the ending where it's very possible to understand that Sansa, Arya, and Bran were actually the ultimate evil monster that manipulate the entire world to get to the ending when they're on top and they get exactly what they want. They manipulated everyone. They manipulated Dany, later got her to burn King's Landing, got Jon to stab her to get what they fucking wanted. They were the real monsters after all. Would never have predicted that Arya, the monster, kill a baby child, who is the ghost of Ironheart called like Blood Child, would be the least horrible of the three. I would never have thought that possible. So, yeah, when you go and rewatch that season, which I did because I love to put salt in my wounds. I didn't rewatch everything, but that show is like I was pretty, I was pretty okay emotionally all season, and that just broke me. That just really broke me. So I went to rewatch today all of Bran's little interclips this season. There were not that many. So like I don't know, were we even supposed to like get at that Bran when he was swept by I don't know even what season that was, by the Night King turning into the Great Other, and that he's now a monster. I don't even know. But we get lines like, "Look at you, you're a man," and Bran says, "Almost." We could be understood like, I'm almost a man grown, or I'm almost not human. But he's the one that waits for Sam when he's at his most vulnerable and makes him tell Jon about his parentage. Episode 1. Then the whole thing about Tyrion and Bran has a great story. That's from episode
2
That's from episode 2, I think. When before the battle, Tyrion didn't need help. Bran, no. Bran, you've had the most strange journey, stranger than most. I'd like to hear about it. It's a long story, Tyrion. If only we were trapped in a castle in the middle of winter with nowhere to go. So we assume,
And not only that, thanks to Mira and Jojen and Summer, is that Bran actually survived north of the wall.
Why doesn't Mira get to be queen?
Yeah.
He
Okay, I'm done with my rant, guys. I'm not done. But then then I'm done. Then I'm really done. So not that much really in episode 3. In episode 2. Okay, episode 2 again. Like before that, the War Council, where pretty much a War Council, where it's like, yeah, I'll be the bait. War Council is kind of the one that the battle plan is. I was like ranting on why did they have that idiotic battle plan, Well, they had that idiotic battle plan because Bran told them which battle plan to have, and they didn't use the dragon to burn the whites, pretty much because going back to rewatch that scene, Bran's like, yeah, I'm gonna be the bait in the Godswood. And John's like, and okay, and Davos like, yeah, we should use the dragons on the battlefield, like burn the whites will have the advantage. And John's like, oh no, we can't bring them on the battlefield because we need them close by to protect Bran. And Arya turns to Bran and says, "Will, okay, wait. That's amazing. Arya, where is that? Oh yeah, I work. That's how I spend my day hurting myself, guys. Arya asked Bran, "Oh, about the Night King. Will Dragon fire stop him?" And Bran's like casually, "I don't know. No one ever tried." But so basically, if we're not using the dragons, we're sure that neither Jon or Dany are useful in the fight that saves the world. So they're not really going to be the hero of the day. So I'm just like all the little clues that could make, Bran look evil. Because if they kill the Night King or they're really useful in that battle to save humanity, then obviously they're going to be seen as heroes. They were useless in that fight because Bran really made the battle plan for that fight be what they were. Again, then we were talking about all those scenes that we never got to see. Okay, like we never got to see the sisters' reaction to
the reveal.
So we could fill in the blanks. Again, I'm sorry. I know, I'm angry, guys. Like I told you, I'm angry and butthurt. Disclaimer, I disclaimed that beforehand. We don't see that. So, there's Sansa got what she wants, we can see all of the Sansa's action. It could really just be Bran. There's a lot of room for possibility that Bran, I'm trying to TLDR that, because I've got a lot more notes, but I realize that I've lost everyone at that point, but there's a lot of possibility that slowly at some point, Bran and Sansa and Tyrion.
Yes, because we don't see the conversation between Sansa and Tyrion either.
No, exactly. And at the very early episode 1, there's a conversation with Sansa and Tyrion, and then there's Bran looking at Tyrion after that conversation. Anyway, there's a lot of possibility that those guys, because they're the three that end up on top at the end the most. So Jon has a fairly happy ending, and Arya has a fairly happy ending. But that they manipulated everything to get to that ending, really. Because look at that council. Tyrion does the talking. Sansa does the short force with her army, although she doesn't say much. And Bran says, "What do you think I came here?" So we could possibly add 3 horrible monsters. And we're thinking creeping in the back of my head, I have the original plan of George that framed those characters as not being really good characters, And I'm like, oh, my sweet, but it broke my heart because Bran, he's my sweet baby, my sweet summer child I love. So he's my favorite character. And although I was prepared for him to do horrible, bad things in T-War, I really thought he was going to have a redemption arc at some point. And
but I don't think this is how it's going to end, sweet.
And it's not about impossibly, and again, eating my ad about me ranting for 5 minutes. I said, no, we cannot end as ruler of Winterfell because he's lost all compassion for humanity. Oh yeah, but it's gonna end as ruler. Oh, and last thing, why the fuck is he gonna look for Drogon that he can skin change into? So, okay, yeah, he's only ruling for his lifetime, but he's gonna potentially be able. That's his first thing that we see him want to do. Find the dragon that, for all we know, flew into sunset with his mama. First thing he wants to do, biggest priority when they have not rebuilt. They don't have a fleet. They don't have a way to look after him. They have not rebuilt any scorpions to kill him. That's the first priority, is find Drogon.
And not rule after he's been elected to rule?
yeah, I mean that's not the first, So again, that could be seen as, again, like, that's me feeling blank and being butthurt. But you can also see like that sweet little kid can change into a dragon eventually,
With that, I honestly
and
just
then become an horrible tyrant of the world. Okay, I'm done, and I'll shut up for the rest of the live stream.
well, I appreciate the. I mean, that was going deep. That was a lot of thought put into that.
That's more thought than I think Dan and Dave put in the whole series.
I had lots of feels. I really yelled at the TV when I saw that. Lots of feels. I put a lot of thoughts into Bran. Guys, you know that.
But
I
look,
agree. I actually don't think that it's that sinister in the show, because I think that it would actually require a lot of thought that I don't think that they put into it.
Yeah, Dan and Dave aren't that. In my opinion, Dan and Dave, that would require a lot of convoluted thinking by Dan and Dave, and they're just not that clever. But I want James to say his one thing.
Well, what I was going to say involved the Unsullied and Jon, because they were so hung up on Jon. Jon obviously had the best story, as Tyrion said. I mean, he came from being a bastard, rose up to Lord Commander, died, came back, North leader of men. What's holding the six? Why are they beholden to the Unsullied after they leave? After they go to fucking Noth, and they're gone. Why are they beholden to keep Jon at the wall? Is there anyone enforcing that? What's they beholden to that?
Well, I don't think he's actually staying, because I think.
Well, I think he's going to be the king beyond the wall.
King beyond the wall, but they
Exactly.
said that they said they put him into the Night's Watch to placate the Unsullied. What's the point of that after they leave?
They're not even staying, yeah.
Yeah, what's the point of that?
What's the point of Jon's parentage? This is all cogwash. And then you know what a lot of people don't know, because they haven't read the Road Ice Fire. When the Unsullied go to North, they're going to all die because they're going to get killed by the butterflies. They're allergic.
Well, all right. Here's the thing, right? Yeah, man. The whole thing with Jon, his parentage. I mean, this would be absolutely crazy. What if this was a plan to get Jon the fuck out the way? What if it was a plan, like, because look, at the end of the day, he's not a Stark. He's not Ned Stark's kid. Sansa never liked him. Yeah, Arya liked him, but Arya is traveling west to Westeros. We don't know what the hell Bran wants, and there was a question we had earlier that I wanted to that was in the chat, and that question is: could Bran be controlled by the Children of the Forest? Because he is not Bran; he is the Three-Eyed Raven.
See, that might be a George R. Martin. Here, okay, I want to answer that. So, and Quinn, I have to pay homage to Quinn on this a lot. That would be a very George R. Martin ending if it was the Children of the Forest the whole time that were playing the role, getting everything, making everything happen, and then now you know how Bran keeps saying he's everyone's. Well, then if he's all the Green Seers, most of those Green Seers are going to be Children of the Forest, so he's majority Children of the Forest. So in this way, this was their revenge. The Children of the Forest's true revenge of getting back at the men that were killing them and doing that. They ended up becoming king and taking over the realm of men, but it's really inside. It's mostly Children of the Forest, and so that's a very George R. R. Martin thing. And I could definitely see that happening in the books, and then just Dan and Dave reading, "Oh, Bran's king. Okay, well, let's do it in the show."
I mean, think about it, right? Because, right, remember, the Children of the Forest created the White Walkers to kill men. But the Children of the Forest...
That could have been... The Children of the Forest could have been subverting expectations the whole time.
Right,
But
so,
don't They don't do such complex thinking. Not in the last few
Well,
seasons.
No, well, no,
No,
I'm
it's not
talking.
about them.
We're talking about how it's done, but then Dan and Dave just read the beat as, oh, Bran's king, so let's just do it in our Dan and Dave way.
Right.
If you need
and
the
so
books, yes, but in the
Yeah.
show, they're not. They're going for the easy denominator, making him king. Even John, I think that's their version of the happy ending. I think that they literally wanted to do the happy ending for the Starks. Ooh, what's the best happy ending we could have for them? Make one
They rule
king of
everything.
Earth, the other king of the Six Kingdoms. The other one gets to wander around the world as she was, and he gets to be free north of the wall with the people that love him and want to be king.
Well, you know what's the crazy thing? I think this might be the reason we have an episode. Because if that happens to be true, and this was the Children of the Forest kind of manipulating everything, to where Bran winds up becoming the king, and it's like the Children of the Forest have been doing this underhanded thing where they've used Bran to get rid of the weapon that they created to destroy men, and now they actually rule
Well,
men.
it would kind of be like Dune, like you know how he put the evil, like the others would be, what's the son's name? The Baron puts his one nephew down that's like cruel and evil, but then he's secretly grooming a messiah, a savior nephew, to come and kill his brother and save the people to get him on his side. That was his plan. So it'd be something. It would be the Children of the Forest doing something like that. They're creating the others to be like some cool thing, slave people. Then you got a savior here.
I honestly think we should save this conversation.
Yeah,
if we're gonna do a.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to actually leave.
Let me finish my little. Let me finish my thought on the Great Council of Dan and Dave here. As far as I think that this is a move towards. I mean, Dan and Dave didn't do it well, but it's a move towards democracy, which I think this story has always been leaving the old past behind, leaving the Ned Stark way of thinking, even the Stannis way of thinking, and going. That's why the guys like characters like John and Danny were the main characters. They were the progressive thinkers. They might have not always been the smartest ones, but they were always thinking about changing things until Dan and Dave got a hold of them. So I think that's where this series was going. So I like that they did the democracy thing, I like how they. I don't like how they executed it. It was stupid the way they laughed at the commoners, the way they, everyone's talking nonsense and whatnot. And as far as has the best story, I think what Tyrion was referring to, I don't think he was referring to Bran himself having the best story. I think he was referring to Bran being the Green Seer and having all these stories in him is what makes
No,
him
but
have
he
the best
actually
story.
mentions his story, becoming a cripple, going north of the wall. He leaves it pretty clear.
Oh, well, then
that
never
it's-
mind. Dan and Dave are idiots again.
Because I watched it several times because I could not believe what he was saying.
Yeah. Well, then Sansa with her dumb shit, like okay, this is one thing that bothered me. How is Sansa gonna say the North should be independent? Yeah, Bran is king. That's like you're seceding from an area, so that means Bran, a Northerner, isn't part of the Seven Kingdoms anymore. So how is he king if they're separated?
Because they have the Northern Army right behind.
It makes no sense. They just didn't think. They didn't think.
In a real council, in a real council, the other lords would start griping and getting mad as soon as Sansa said that.
But not if they have the Northern Army right behind that could soup them real easily.
Well, I don't think anyone was thinking about armies. Yeah.
I was going to say it might not have just had all more than just the Northern Army there.
What?
They might have had the Vale Army. They might have had the. They may now somehow miraculously be a Stormlands army.
Oh yeah, possibly they came to the council with their army.
I don't know. Without Targaryens, I thought it would be
but it would take a lot longer
if they would go back to being 7 individual kingdoms. Because originally they came together because the Targaryens cannot force them together. With Dany dead, Jon fucking north of the wall, no dragons.
Yeah.
I thought it would be much more believable if they all became their individual kingdoms again.
Yeah, again, rationally, Sansa's point that the North lost way too much to fight the army of the dead doesn't make a lot of sense. Because, yeah, they did lose a lot, but the Vale army was there. It was a lot of SOC army fighting there. There were people from everywhere fighting there, as we've seen. It was not, a lot of the casualties were not far from only being the Northern Army. So I can't see that as standing. Plus, again, Dorne was independent for much longer than the North, and the Quentin Martell didn't raise any objection. So, to me, the only rational explanation could be, because if it was only a few weeks, it will take a lot more than that to raise armies, except for maybe the Vale, who was I don't even really understand, because they were with Sansa in Winterfell, right? They were fighting. We saw them with Sansa.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it would. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, I think we need to kind of start wrapping things up, because we do have two members who need to kind of get up early.
So pretty much Bran is king, and now we're in Act 3, the epilogue here. I guess I want to give my 2 cents for Jon real quick. Is why the fuck do they need a wall? I think it was just an excuse to get Jon out of there. Like Tink said, the happy ending. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, real quick.
I do have to mention one thing. One thing that I'm sure that Swede will understand. How is I don't understand. How is it possible that they can do such beautiful shots? They can rebuild King's Landing. They can do beautiful dresses, and they're not fucking capable of doing decent crowns. Seriously. Cersei's queen crown has been ridiculously, stupidly small and ugly. It looked like a fucking tiara. And that crown that they gave Sansa, seriously? Do they not know how to do how? Is it I needed to say it because they just look horribly ugly and small, and they look tiaras, not fucking crowns. What the hell? I need to get it out, because when I saw it, I was like,
thank God and Dave, Tink. Thank God and Dave.
Not everyone has the fashion sense of a Redley.
but the dress was gorgeous. And with all the details of the werewood tree, with the leaves and the corset, Cersei's crown has been ridiculously stupid. Well, that's it.
We'll see what happens with that.
So let's just knock out the epilogues are.
The
so
small
we got
council.
Yeah, we got Brienne as the Lord Commander, and she's writing in the White Book. And we got Bronn, head of the Reach. We got Coffee.
Davos, master of ships.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Tarly is the Grand Maester, apparently.
And he apparently, Dan and Dave want to throw out something to Lord of the Rings movies, not Lord of the Rings books, because this doesn't happen like that in the book. So George isn't going to do this stupid shit like this. A Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh God, I found that offensive.
I found it offensive too. It was.
Honestly speaking, I'll be honest with you. I think that George might actually do that in the book.
But no, he's not going to. George is not going to do a movie thing. He's not going to do a movie trope in his book.
No, but I do think. Listen, we've already had the whole thing with House of Black and White with Rhaegar thing. The Song of Ice and Fire. So I've been saying for years, I think it's possible that we have not Bran, but Sam write the history book at the end, and the history book is called Song of Ice and Fire.
But it makes no sense in the logic of the show. That's my.
He would never do something. George would. I would be shocked if George does something like that simple. He's not going to make a thing. He's not going to make a movie reference. He's not going to make a movie reference. If he's going to do anything, it'll be similar. In fact, it can't even be similar to the book, because it's just because the way the Lord of the Rings did it is they had a red book, and Tolkien said the thing was Tolkien found this book and translated it. So that's the basic gist of it. So George isn't going to do that.
I mean, we'll see. All right. Well, look, real quick. Scores. We got to give the final scores for this one.
Let's give everyone's thoughts on the epilogue first. I mean, you got Pod as Kingsguard, you got Tormund at the wall, Jon going to King of the North. Finally cuts Ghosts. You got Queen Sansa. You got Arya going west.
All right, real quick, James.
All the points.
I mean, yeah, Bronn Master Coin doesn't make any sense. Being the Lord of the Reach or wherever he was, Highgarden. Sorry, my brain's not working right now. Was fine. He didn't have to be Master Coin. At least it would have made more sense if he was Master at the very least. If he was going to do anything, if he was going to be there at all. Arya going west, I felt that was a fitting end for her. I believed it. I was all for it. I actually came up. I mean, the imagery of when Jon was beyond the wall, I thought it very much looked like the Night's King imagery with the whites. It was very similar the way that the free folk were walking and Jon was on his horse. It looked very much like the Night's King with the whites. I don't know what that symbology means, if it means anything or if it was an accident, but that's what I took from it. That it was very reminiscent of that. Is there anything else in there? I can't. Maybe something else will jog my memory, but that was what I thought about the epilogue.
LT?
Yeah, I didn't catch the whole thing with the Night King. Yeah, I agree. Brian would never be fucking on the small council in 1,000 years. Sam is Grand Maester now. Does that mean he has to forsake Gilly and Monster or whatever the kid's name? Or are they changing rules now? You know?
Yeah, we're changing rules. This is new Westeros.
Yeah. So and then they forgot to leave out that Brienne, she's sworn to Sansa, but now she's Lord Commander. You know, so she's gonna stay in the King's Landing with Ren. You know, and Pod, I love Pod. I'm glad he's a King's Guardman. I know JB or somebody mentioned that they didn't think that could happen, but he is a squire to one of the, badasses knights. You know, the Song of Ice and Fire thing is whatever. I'm still in disbelief. When am I gonna wake up? When am I gonna wake up? Because this season is a dream, man.
More like a nightmare.
Dream
of spring. I was gonna say. All right. And thoughts on the epilogue?
Yeah, the episode. I know we're not supposed to mention that again. I like the cinematography of the epilogue. Again, I was still in my really butthurt phase. So I'm not really objective about it. Okay, so Great Council, I don't know. Again, if we wanna not go for Bran is super evil headcanon that I made for myself just to punish myself, I would have kind of liked to show Bran having like just a teeny bit of interest in governance. Because we have only we have two recently raised commoners. We have Davos, who was raised by Stannis, and Bronn, who was raised to nobility by Tyrion. It would have been nice if we had someone it would have been nice to have a scene of someone who had been raised to nobility by King Bran, possibly. That if we want to show Bran as a benevolent king, maybe we could have cut off stupid, one of the stupid scene earlier that we didn't need.
We did, Bronn.
Bronn, yeah, I think Tyrion, the hand raised Bronn, to nobility again. But to have Bran, because he says we need a master, although we don't need a master of whisperer because you can see in everybody's. That's super creepy. I don't want to think about that. Oh no, by the way, before I forget, because I wanted you two guys to add that in the description box. Oh god, now I forgot, couldn't put it in the notes. A lot of my thoughts. Okay, go back to me afterwards, because otherwise I'm just gonna waste time to find. I wanted to talk about blog posts, but go back to me.
Right, Tinker.
I just, John getting his happy ending. Arya, I got that. Sansa, even Queen of the North, okay. Bran, I found ridiculous. They choose him, and I remember in episode 4 when he's talking to Tyrion, he's like, "Oh, I'm jealous of you," and like, no, don't be. I live mostly in the past. While ruling is all about thinking of the future and how you're gonna manage the future, which is why I found even more ridiculous that he's king and he's there in the council and he's there like 5 seconds and then he leaves, and then what? You're gonna get another Robert Baratheon, another absentee king. What the fuck do you even? I find it ridiculous. Bronn being Master of Coin. I remember when Tyrion got chosen Master of Coin and he's arguing with Bronn and he's like, well, what if you don't give it back? And like, that's not how it works. Yes, but what? And he clearly didn't get the whole borrowing money. So why the fuck would you give that guy Master of Coin? I just don't like that Bronn got everything, that he kept gambling, and he ends up Master of the Reach. No, I'm sorry, I hated that. It made no sense, and it feels like, because in the books there's a certain point in which Bronn is not relevant anymore, but since he was had the cool one-liners, he was the funny guy, they kept using him, and then he ended up that high. And I'm sorry, but that's not enough for me for a character to end up there. It made no sense. And I don't know. I just thought it was ridiculous. The Book of Ice and Fire, I thought that was insulting because it felt kind of like a bit like they were trying to do a nod to the book readers while they haven't cared two shits about the book readers. So, whatever.
I'll just say that Arya going west, leaving out there, makes sense to me. Brienne is Kingsguard, even though she's a criminal on the show, makes sense to me in the books. So here we are. Bronn, Bronn is Bronn. Yeah, well said it. You know what I feel about the Lord of the Rings thing. Jon, yeah, he had to get out of there. I mean, so he got the show happy ending. Yeah. At least he pet Ghost. I mean, Ghost got pet.
Thank God.
Sansa.
Yeah.
Queen Sansa, I think it'll be different, but whatever. It is what it is. So I'm ready for scores.
All right, score.
Yeah, just before my score, I wanted, because I was gonna. So please, guys, if you guys can put that in the description box, as that was supposed to be there, but we had to change 3 times our video description. So my thoughts were my thoughts on Bran thing, but someone, because I tweeted, I talked about my little rant about Bran, and someone pointed to someone on Tumblr who had pretty similar thought, whose name is Broken Tripod, and who had thoughts also on Bran, like maybe like I've been manipulated that whole thing to end up on the throne. So shout out to that person on Twitter, and we will try to put the link in the description box. And my scores. Okay, so I'll keep the talking stick again. I like the first half. I was not about the first half episode. I don't know how to be objective, because if they had forgotten Bran in Winterfell and had left him to fuck a tree, I would probably I would not have been like super satisfied with this episode. I don't really know how they would have wrapped up if they had clapped to Sam's decision to have democracy somehow. I would probably have given that episode a 6. I don't think, and even like everything, and you put Tyrion in his hand, I don't know, I would have been okay with most of it, but I don't. That's the thing. Like I'm not going to be objective about that episode because right now there's still a lot of bad attitude inside of me. I'm like, because right now what I can feel is, am I someone that does not know how to read a book? Is Bran the Great Other? Has he been all along? And is my favorite character the chapters that we read over and over and over and over and over again? Like, have I totally misunderstood them completely and totally glossed over the fact that he's actually really the great other and evil character all along? I don't know. So I'm just butthurt, and that's all. But otherwise, the rest, like, there were a lot of things I liked in this episode, or didn't dislike super very much.
Okay, so what is your score?
Great.
Don't try to give me a score. Don't try to make me say numbers out of my mouth, Don Willie. Like, you're not the boss of me.
Fine, no score.
Remember, you got Blueberry Banana last episode, so.
Okay. Tinker.
I'm giving it a 3.
All right. Jerry?
And I'm being positive.
Wow.
I mean, I was hopeful that they were going to do their own shit after I saw Arya do that nonsense in episode 3. But, while I didn't hate it, they just went back to their old fucking Dan and Dave bullshit ham-fisting things together, which is what I called years ago. So, yeah, fuck them for that. And because of that, fuck this whole everything. This gets, this fucking gets a 0. And, that's it, right? That's fucking life in a nutshell, right? There's nothing I can care about so much that I want to eventually see it turn into shit betrayal. I could list them all off here. Game of Thrones, Aliens, Star Wars, Highlander, Final Fantasy, X-Men, Spider-Man with those fucking clones, and then one more day, comic books with retconning in general. Shit. Just jobs, life, everything. Just take it from me, audience. Just take it from me, people. The best you people can hope for is to just die before you can see everything that you take joy and comfort in rot into stinking filth and leave a steaming, stinking hole in your soul that'll never fucking heal. And that's the truth. That's
okay.
Fuck this. Fucking bullshit.
Okay.
We still have two books to go. So we might get those.
We'll get the books.
James?
If he doesn't croak first.
I actually, I didn't hate this episode. I think there was some good things about it. Cinematography, tension built in the first part. Rousing. It was a good performance by Emilia Clarke. But yeah, I mean, it was whatever. I was entertained. So, I said the episode gets a 10 out of 10 because it's the last episode of the series. But in all reality, I'll say it's like a 5. It wasn't terrible. I was entertained. I will say I read through the blog that George just put up in regards to the show, and it was all kind of just a bunch of fluff, a bunch of platitudes and stuff like that. But at the end, he does say, people ask him about if the ending in the books is the same. He says yes and no and yes and no, yes and no, yes and no is what he said, pretty much. And he said it's going to be different, but some things are going to be the same. So pretty much was the gist of what he was saying, that you can make the decision on what's real or not, but you're going to read what he's going to write. So,
all right.
But yeah, 5.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm like, damn it, we lost LT. Now, LT, your score, good sir.
All right, I'll give it a point for John Penn Ghost. I'll give it a point for Sansa being queen. I'll give it a point for visuals. So 3 out of 10.
Okay.
That is sort of exactly like my grading, LT.
Look, I'll be honest with you. Given the season that we have gotten, given how I thought things were going to go, I thought this episode was going to be a hell of a lot worse. Honestly speaking, again, given what we've gotten show, separating it from the books, which I've been trying to tell you guys to do for a while now. Look, I personally found this ending to be pretty inoffensive as far as the show canon goes. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
A 7.
Look, again, I think you guys are putting too much book into it.
No, I'm actually
That's
not thinking at all about the books. I'm finding it offensive because of the show canon.
The thoughts about it, what might happen in the books, is the only thing that saved this episode for me. That made it watchable for me.
Look, you know what? I've seen horrible show endings. Dexter, Sopranos.
Sopranos is much better than this. It was ambiguous. It was ambiguous, but it wasn't like a. They ended it just as how they wanted to.
Last like fucking 3 episodes of The Sopranos were trash, straight trash. And Boardwalk Empire. Boardwalk Empire was a horrible fucking ending.
What about season 5 of The Wire?
No, that wasn't. No, nothing like Boardwalk Empire, Sopranos, and the other one I mentioned, Dexter. Those are like the 3 endings that made me want to fucking rage quit everything. Like I said, for me, I found it largely. I kind of knew, like, after what happened last episode, I knew where they were going. I was like, okay, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. I mean, don't get me wrong. Them, a robot being elected king was kind of like, what the fuck? But whatevs. I mean, we didn't. I mean, fuck it. What does it matter at this point? But look, I do want to thank everyone for being here. Tinker. I know you're probably super tired as all hell.
It's 5:20 in the morning for me.
Yeah, I don't want you to wind up getting those Danny bags. But thank you for being here. We got to try to do this on a weekend when it's going to be actually a little earlier for you.
Yes, please.
I think all our next video. I think this is the last Monday video. I think all our next weekend.
But yeah, to everybody who stuck with us for the past few years through our ranting and raving, through our arguments, through the likes and dislikes and all the stuff we've endured. Thank you for being with us and supporting us all this time. It has been a ride. It's been quite a ride, and don't worry, it is not. Show might be over, but we still go on. Our watch has not ended, and it's not going to end for a very long time. Yeah, and thank you for being here, Jerry, James, LT. I wish we could have had the entire squad. Somebody bring back Kraken.
Yeah.
Bring back Kraken and JD.
No, Kraken wants to be on the big discussion about what we thought, like, of the series as a whole. But it's all about scheduling, as always.
So we're gonna work out our best to try to get everybody that we possibly can. And don't worry, we're still gonna have some postmortems on the show.
Yeah.
We're gonna do our season, full season wrap up, and then our series retrospective in the coming weeks and months.
We might even do a book ending predictions versus what we saw on the show.
Yeah. Oh, and James and I want to review Detective Pikachu, and we should be super positive about that one, because we can be super positive and fun-loving about things too. We're not always just hater bitches. There are things that we like, and sometimes we smile.
So, with that said, thank you to everybody who been sticking with us all this time. Thank you to all of those who watched us live tonight. Thank you to all those who will be watching us later on. My name is Don Willie, and for Hype's Watch, I'm saying Vala Morgulis, Vala Daharis, all that good stuff. Game of Thrones is out, and so are we for tonight. We will see you sooner or later with something new, and man, oh man. Yeah, like I said, it's been a ride. We're out of here. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace.